Hello and welcome to Metro AVTechTips. I'm Brent.
I'm Adam.
And with us today we have a special guest,
Austin.
Noonan.
We have Austin Noonan here today with Infinity Home Technologies. And as you can tell, we're in a completely new location today. I don't think anybody except for some very few people have actually seen the inside of this room. This is just our
You don't want to?
Yeah, particularly, yeah. We're just here in our conference room here at Metro, and we thought that to take advantage of the first episode of what this series will be, we thought we would go ahead and move into this room here today to kind of see what we could figure out with this one.
It is certainly a much more conversational discussion.
Your mic's down.
My mic's down or off or out?
Off is not working.
Well,
All of them?
Adam is talking, people, even if he's not.
Go ahead and keep going, Brent.
So, a little bit of a change in format because of what we're doing today is we're going to be discussing how you design and set up a plan for a house. And since Mr. Noonan is in the process of doing that as we speak for the Infinity Home Systems
Infinity Home Technologies.
Technology, thank you. Their demo home, which is exactly what it is, we're going to walk through his process and share our thoughts. And it's going to be interesting because Adam and I have already done some preliminaries on this and we disagree on many things.
I think we all disagree on a lot of things.
Yeah.
So this is going to be an interesting process.
Yeah.
But this is legitimately what happens. Every time, how do I do this? How do I accomplish this? What are my thought processes? It's never just, okay, I'm putting a speaker here, and a Cat 5 jack there, and I'm done.
Yeah.
Because you have to think all about the homeowner and not just the current homeowner. What about resale value?
Sure. Well, and this is something also that we have to think of on top of just the resale value or the current homeowner, but we also have to think about what's going to happen with technology. You know, as things progress, should we have certain things in the wall that maybe are dark that we don't use until sometime in the future? I think one of the things that we're going to talk about at some point is bulk wire and bulk fiber and what your plan is as far as this project itself.
And conduit.
Correct.
And conduit, yes, exactly. So,
But don't get ahead of us, Austin.
Nope, you're good. Keep going.
So first off, we're going to have Adam do his usual weekly spiel.
yes, of course. And just to double check, can everybody hear me okay? I just want to double check that. If you put it over in the comment section for me, that would be wonderful. But I believe I'm okay now. So everybody, thank you again for, let's see, it says Brent and Austin are good, but for some reason I'm not. It's still low. What if I just talk into it correctly? Maybe I'm just not talking into it correctly.
Maybe
We'll
you
try
just need
that.
to speak louder.
There is that too. So everybody, again, as always, welcome to today's episode. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, if you have any questions about whatever it is that we are talking about today, feel free to leave it over in the chat section over here on the side. If you're watching this after the fact and after it's pre-recorded, you can leave it down below. And I believe Infinity Home Technologies is also sharing this video out. And so if we have any viewers from that, thank you so much for watching today. If you want to follow us as well, go ahead and come on over to Metro AV on YouTube, or you can find us Metro AV on Facebook, as well as on Twitter, LinkedIn. We are Instagram. We are all over the place.
Which I understand that Mr. Noonan, you have also the vast majority of those things connected to you, which Adam will leave the links in the video after this is all done because nobody remembers all their addresses.
No, of course not. Yeah. So we'll make sure to get all of that in there as well. Let's see. Yes. Brent and Austin, good. I'm too low. Maybe I'm just talking. Okay. We're getting conflicting knowledge on this one. On my phone, I can hear myself, and then we're having conflicting information on that. I'm going to keep going as though we're good to go.
Well, then rock on.
Rock on. So, everybody, let me go ahead and fill you in on what this series is. So this is our tech tips house that we're working with Austin and
No, it's Austin's house.
It's Austin's.
It's our show,
house, but it's our show for this one. But thankfully, Infinity Home Technologies has allowed us to come join them for the ride from basically the inception of the design all the way up to handing the project over to the demo house, being the demo. Now in this case, it'll be a demo house demo home to be used for future clients to see the projects and capabilities of the company.
Correct. An area we can bring potential clients, past clients, host events, things like that. Everybody can come and experience everything that we do. And then same thing, but the process is identical to how we would deploy it for a customer.
Now, before we get too far into this, you look familiar to me.
I am.
Did you used to work for us?
I might have worked here for a short period of time.
5 years?
Something like that.
Adam's over there checking his audio.
Checking my audio. Yep, I can hear me okay. Maybe I'm just not talking into it. Maybe I'll increase it just a little bit. Brent, talk a little bit about. Well, actually, no. Pardon me. Austin. And Brent, I want you to lead this a little bit, if you would, please. If you'll lead the questionnaire just a little bit in the design idea.
Well, no, this is interesting because I've worked with Austin's father, who is truly a very smart man. I always enjoy working with him because he is incredibly meticulous. And I know, having traveled with you, forced you to listen to my music in very small cars, I know that you tend to be very detailed focused also, which is why I'm really looking forward to doing this because, again, the three of us don't always agree on how to approach something. I know we were discussing the rack and how to do that the other day when we were going through the thought process of this.
Yep.
How long, number one, do you think that the design process will take versus breaking ground?
So right now, I mean, everybody's experiencing it. Everything is taking a long time, whether it's for engineering, actually getting product, breaking ground. The whole process is really longer than it should be. That being said, hopefully we'll be breaking ground on this project soon. So it should be, it's going to be a fairly long process. I'm sure there's going to be delays along the way, but it'll be cool too because you guys can actually really follow along in real time as to what's going on and how long it takes.
When did you decide to do this?
This project's been in the works since September, October of last year.
Yeah.
When did you get your first set of functioning blueprints?
We've been working on drawings now since probably December.
Okay. So that's pretty early in the process, particularly for a custom home.
Which is much earlier than normally happens.
Yeah,
now,
generally.
This is great because, of course, it's the whole idea for the house is being a demo house or demo home for Infinity Home Tech, which is great. That's a fantastic feature of it. But normally we don't get
the drywall's going up next week. What can we do?
Yeah, can you run some wire really quick? So you're in a much better spot for this one. So I guess at that point, then talking about today is our blueprint phase. This is the design phase. This is where we're at to figure out what's going on with the project, what we plan to put in place. And I say we, of course, this is you and your company. But this is the point where you design where things should go and where you want them to go. Yeah. Now, of course, we know as we get into the project, we have, different things get in the way, and obviously you have to pivot here and there. But that will come later on. The nice thing about this is we're in
and this level of drawing that we're showing today that we've worked up is really a visual to the client, the end user, as to where things are going to be and generally how something should work, as well as to the builder. When we sit down with the different builders and we're presenting, hey, this is what we're doing. It's nice to be able to show on a real print, properly drawn, exactly what it is that we're going to do and make sure that the builder is on the same page with us and the electrician and every other trade.
Before we even get to the blueprints, let's start with the basics. What was your goal? What technology did you want to showcase in the home? Forget the prints for a second.
Sure. So really we want to show everything that we can possibly do. A different area that we're tackling in this project that we personally haven't really done is lighting fixtures. So we've done lighting for years, that's
lighting control.
Exactly.
As I recall, you were C4.
Correct. And then this project, we really wanted to take it to that next step and actually, dive into fixtures. But products that we're showcasing is, tunable lighting, shades, traditional audio, video, distributed video, and then all of your basic automation.
Is there
door
security
locks,
involved?
Security, a little bit of everything. And then outdoor lighting as well.
Is there a pool on this job site?
There is a pool. And then one area that might come up in questions, there isn't a traditional theater in this house. So a lot of people are getting away from the traditional theater, although that still does exist, especially in the COVID world. That's kind of ramped back up. But multi-purpose rooms is kind of the idea here.
And we were talking about this earlier, but as mentioned, I was in New York a couple of weeks ago for the ultra short throw showcase, and it is amazing what is now being, where in the past you had to have a dedicated dark room.
Yep.
With the ceiling mounted projector, with these ultra short throws now in a home like what you're doing, the ability to throw a 100+ inch screen up in a normal living environment radically changes what we can do.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, what you're seeing a lot of nowadays with system designs is, when talking about like the home theater aspect, is you're really seeing more of these like multi-use play areas, almost
gaming,
and everything else.
Karaoke.
There was one I just saw on LinkedIn, actually, was kind of an interesting one where it was floor to ceiling, a 16:9 screen for the aspect ratio, but it was floor to ceiling for the design for it, which I'm not a huge fan of myself, other than how striking it looks. It always looks really cool, but the problem is that when you're only sitting 15 feet away, having to look up like this and then down like this in order to actually see the entire screen is a little tiring.
Well, that's
for
interesting
myself.
because we have some interesting followers, and I know Joel and a couple other people, and everybody has different views. But let's kind of start with, before we get into your blueprint, let's kind of look at that, because screen size is critical.
Mm-hmm.
How do you determine how big a picture should be in a room? How big? At what point is a screen too big? How do you make that decision?
Well, if I have to turn my head, it's not a very scientific way for myself to choose that one. But if I have to turn my head in order to see the entirety of the screen,
okay, but
for myself, it's too large.
What is your guide to pick your screen size?
Well, just that. It depending on if I'm sitting back in my seat and I'm able to look from side to side to see what I'm looking at without having to turn my head in any fashion, then that's the right size for me.
For me, I take my hands.
And if you can see your thumbs.
At what point I have comfortable peripheral vision,
Mm-hmm.
I look at the wall.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's the max screen size.
Sure.
Now, going slightly inside of that's better,
Mm-hmm.
because as you get to the peripheral, you start to get some distortion, even particularly
course.
as you age. And let's face it, I am not
Yeah.
a young man like you two at this point.
Oh, I was going to say, I thought you said you were not old.
My vote is as big as it can go to fit on that wall.
Yes.
That's the screen size.
As long as
that entire wall
as long as it physically fits on the wall, that's the size we're going with.
Okay, so 3 people, 3 different answers.
Yeah.
And then I'm shooting 110, and my head's about 9.5 feet back.
Leo says hi.
Hi, Leo.
He said I do want to note that Leo said hi to you first, and then he said hello, crew.
I mean,
So-
you guys are just gonna have to get used to that on this
kind of
series.
what
Yeah.
I think that's what we're going to run into with that. So
Thanks, Leo.
I love you, Leo. All right, so let's go ahead. I know we talked about putting the blueprints aside. Let's go ahead and actually jump into the blueprints. So with the use of
Okay, let's start. Let's actually start with the front of the house,
yeah.
because this tells us a lot about how they're going to live, honestly.
So with this here, it's actually, and I think I can zoom in just a little bit here. So the house itself is I mean, honestly, it's a great design. It's a great styling for it. The house itself was actually going to, I mean, of course, it's built down here in Florida. And so it's going to have that nice aesthetic that fits along with it. What style did we say it was?
Coastal craftsman.
Coastal craftsman is the overall style for this one. So the
Is
house
this on the
itself
water?
Yeah, it is on the water in Ormond.
And that plays a lot into the stylings and choices of equipment, right?
And how it will be used.
Yeah, especially anything that's getting mounted outside.
Yeah.
Cameras,
Yeah, because
speakers.
saltwater's a bear.
Well, and everyone who's not from Florida, or if you've never been here, I actually had to learn this when I moved to Florida myself. When we say the river, it's not just a normal river. It's actually the intercoastal, which is a brackish water area, or more salty than not, really.
Well, and you're within 5 blocks of the ocean.
Correct. And it's one of the things where that's how you go down the intercoastal to get to the ocean itself. So for anybody who's not from Florida or not on a coastal state, that's what we're talking about
Good
specifically.
geography lesson.
Yeah,
Thank
well,
you for that.
I'm just looking. Hey, if I didn't know, someone else probably doesn't know.
And it all rusts in a hurry.
It does. And that's one of the big things for when you're designing these systems, because we are so close to the salt air, let alone the water itself. You get, luckily you're not on the ocean, so you don't get the splash or the mist from the water, but you do still have to deal with that salt air. That's something that has an effect to it. So with that, I think we're ready to go ahead and jump over to the blueprints. Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll definitely jump in. There's a couple areas that we'll be able to highlight that show some challenges with this print as you look at it from an overall that we'll kind of talk about.
So the front of the house where we were just looking at before, that's in this area here. Let's see if I can do this correctly here. So we were looking at it from this direction. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay. Hey guys, look at that. I can actually draw on the screen. We got some pretty cool stuff around here. It's almost like we're a technology company and we're just
You're a funny fellow, aren't you?
I try to make jokes. I try to keep it light. So let's real quick just kind of run through the layout. Let's go in through the front door. I think that'll be the easiest, most direct path to start.
Well, before we get to the front door.
Yeah.
Before we get to the front door. Driveway sensors?
Probably not. One thing that we will do once we have the elevations as far as the landscaping, we will work on landscape audio as well as video for the front and both the backyard. So that's an area that hasn't been tackled yet as far as the design process.
Because you don't have the layout of the
exactly. So once we get closer, we'll share that with the the different vendors that we work with for those categories, and a lot of times they can help us out and tell us how to light specific trees or plants.
I would like to note something you said. Discuss it with the vendors we'll be using.
Yes.
Their ability to look at a blueprint and make more wizened decisions on the knowledge of their product than you will is a godsend for a dealer.
Exactly. Yeah. We can't keep up with every single manufacturer's every single product. So a lot of these cases, like even as we look at this print, we have access point. We reach out to the manufacturers and have them do the heat mapping for us and tell us
for the networking
where to put the access points. Same exact process. So rely on the manufacturers a lot. And then this is a preliminary camera layout, but we'd reach out to Metro as far as Spyclops. Hey, where do you think we should put the cameras?
Yeah, what are the focal lengths and the lens views, things like that, and how am I going to get in the? Then you also have to look at the orientation of the house for afternoon. We're running into an issue on a house beachside where every afternoon between 3 and 6, the garage door doesn't want to close.
Yeah.
And why would you guess that is? Because the garage door company didn't figure it out.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. It actually turns out that the sunlight at that time of day is actually perfectly angled to
override the sensors.
To override the sensors for it. So it actually stopped the sensors from going down, or stopped the garage door from going down.
So things that you learn the hard way.
Yeah. Now, luckily, this house you've got it'll be orientated to where you've got hit the right button.
The driveway is looking
this will be
east.
to the east. Yeah, this will be to the east, and then you've got over here, of course, to the west. So Brent, we're gonna have to make sure that we do something like this more often. This is pretty cool. So
you enjoy their feeling like the.
I feel like I'm doing a replay.
Sports night?
Sports Center doing a replay and drawing on the screen and whatnot. Yeah, that's what it feels like. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into. So we talked about the driveway and the layouts and stuff for that. Now you did lump in there the front yard and the backyard for AV. I'm assuming the V portion of that you're going to have video in the backyard, not necessarily in the front yard.
Correct. So the front yard we definitely want to include distributed audio. You're out in the front yard watering the plants, washing the cars.
Christmas.
Yep. So it's a good idea to include audio there if we can.
Yep.
There will be video in the garage, but there won't be video, obviously in the front yard.
Sure.
There will be video in the backyard.
Okay. So let's go ahead and go in through the front door here. So we've got this nice entryway and foyer. Now, of course, you are a Control 4 dealer, and so you'll be doing Control 4 throughout the house in this one. So you'll do one of their door stations. You've got whoops, I hit the right thing here. You've got a nice speaker right there at the entryway. That's honestly, that's important because when you're doing, bringing guests over and you're entertaining, that's the entry point. That's where people are going to be coming in through, and to greet them with audio.
I think it's a good thing. That's a no-brainer, especially when we're doing audio in the front yard as well. It's kind of a greeting. It transitions very well from the outside to the inside of the house.
Yeah, retains everything there. From there, of course, we go into the grand room, which is nice. I like the changing of the names a little bit here. But you've got the grand room, the kitchen, and the dining room all in one space. And I don't see any breaks anywhere in there, so it looks like it's one very large open area.
Can I get you to run that to full screen so I can see the blueprint?
Yeah, of course. I'll go ahead and switch that over here.
I can't see that.
Yeah, there you go, Brent.
There,
Can you see
thank
that?
you.
Is that better?
Thank you. Yes.
All right. So in
Sorry,
that grand room
a
space,
little blind.
A little.
so with this grand room space here, one of the other things that I do want to know also, and I think we're going to touch on this a little bit more in a little bit, but you have these doors here to open up entirely to where that's one entire open door, right? There's no bar, there's no pillars holding it or anything.
No, the corner disappears.
Does it? So they open from the corner to the back.
Correct. Yeah. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. So these actually open up this direction like that, to where it completely opens up. So that's really nice, right? Yeah, exactly. So from there, then we've got the grand area. You have 2 guest rooms, it looks like, or two bedrooms off to one side.
Correct.
Now, there's one thing in these rooms that we talked about, and you actually brought it to our attention when you came by and we were kind of testing out the video setup here today.
Yep.
But I want to ask I'm going to bring it up now, and anybody who's watching, if you will look at this suite, right? So if you can read the blueprints a little bit, it may be given away already for you. However, we want to ask, where would you put the bed and where would you put the television in this room? So I'm going to ask that. Go ahead and put it in the chat for me if you would, please. Let us know where you would put things in that room. And of course, remember, if it helps when you are talking about it, this way is to the north. And so if you would kind of look it over and let us know what you would do in that application, because we're not necessarily stumped. It's just it's a problem.
We dealt with this exact same issue at the beach house.
Yeah.
And what they told us they were going to do is not what they did.
Yes, correct.
Which is why I'm glad we did what we did.
Yes. Yeah. Which we'll come back to that room in just a little bit, or both of those rooms actually, because each one of them is also.
Same situation.
They both present the similar design challenge as to placement of the television.
Yep. So you've got a Jack and Jill bathroom here between the two rooms.
And that's a sliding door on the west bathroom.
Yes.
Pocket door.
Yep. Pocket
door. Yep.
And
so
pocket
you've got a
doors
pocket door
add
there.
their own challenges to doing things.
Yeah, they do, because you really are not supposed to mount anything to the wall that the pocket door is in.
Yeah, about that.
And you really don't want to either, because you could miss. And Brent, have you it's like you're talking from experience.
Okay. Well,
I'm just.
Well, first off, let me just say that always know that there's a pocket door in the wall before you cut your first speaker on.
Yeah.
Been there, done that one.
Yeah.
That was an expensive lesson I learned in 1984. But we actually had to add an electrical outlet on a pocket door wall.
Yes. And that was fairly recent, right?
Challenging.
Yeah. So on the other side, this is actually on the south side of the house. This is where we get into the master suite.
Yep.
Over here. Now we do have, it looks like we have the guest bathroom here in this section here, of course. So you walk past the kitchen, past the dining room. Is that right?
Correct. So there's that bathroom, and that also leads outside towards the back lanai, as well as the pool area beyond that.
Okay, yeah, I do see that now. So you actually have a door here, which honestly that's helpful, because when you get in the pool and then you're getting out and it's time to go ahead and wash off a little bit, instead of walking through the dining room, you can actually go directly into the bathroom.
Well, there's not a washing. That's just a toilet and a
sink.
Oh
yeah, look at that. Correct. It's a half bath. Okay.
So I'm going to assume they have a foot shower and a regular shower head outside.
More than likely, yeah.
Yep.
That's right. So, of course, you got the primary suite here. Now, I'm assuming we just ran out of icons on this here, because I'm assuming that's going to be a subwoofer.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep.
And then from there, we have speakers in the back here. Now, these speakers in the back, are these ceiling speakers or are these in walls?
Most likely. I mean, that's still up for interpretation.
Okay.
Is that a tray ceiling?
The idea here is really we're discussing, what areas are getting traditional distributed audio versus the areas that are getting surround sound. So
right.
We have 3 different surround sound zones.
Okay, now see, here's where I take a little bit different approach. For example, in a tray ceiling, if it's a 45-degree tray above the TV,
sure,
I'd prefer to put my 3 fronts in the 45-degree tray.
Now you're talking about like the traditional style or the old style, where it's the tray is actually
instead of 45-degree,
right? Right.
Not a coffered,
sure,
but a tray. Where ceiling's high and then drops down. If you have a 45-degree on it, put the 3 channels above the TV. Now, I still prefer to have my AV separate
Yes.
from my television
Yes.
because my AV has a different purpose
Yeah.
than my audio from my television.
And that's an area that's one of the disagreeing areas, right? That's one of the areas that we have disagreements in
I
the
like,
design.
honestly, I like the built-in invisible speakers. Pick a brand.
Oh, yeah.
There's a half a dozen of them.
Yep. Speaking of, who are you using for speaker wise in here?
So speakers are going to be true audio throughout the interior of the home.
Nice. Very nice.
And then as far as design, as we look at that guest suite, the television you see there, that's our icon for television with soundbar.
Okay.
So that'll be an LCR custom length soundbar
Okay.
to the TV. So
So that'd be the 3 fronts right at the TV.
that acts as our front stage.
Okay.
Exactly.
So then, okay, so
Then I would definitely have separate speakers for
well,
the AV.
well, and in this case, are the rear speakers going to be acting as a rear channel?
They will be as a rear channel.
Now,
Exactly.
Is that powered off an AVR? Is that powered off of, and I assume in the rack, or is it local?
It'll be powered off an AVR in the rack. So
Okay.
everything in this house will be centralized.
Okay. As
Gotcha.
far as hardware.
And speaking of centralized, we walk up to the next thing in here. We have the rack closet itself right here. Now, the rack closet in this location actually works out really well. It's a nice central location. It is beneath the second floor, so that puts it in a good spot for tracing wires to the second floor area. It is a little far away from the other side of the house. However, for the items that are actually going over to the other side of the house, you're not really sending all that much.
Correct.
You've got 1, 2, 3. You have 4 zones of video, and then of course you have your speakers in those areas.
And don't forget outdoor speakers. And
Correct, yeah. But it seems like that's going to be a nice a location. Now for the outdoor space, that's also nice because it's easy to get a pipe of some kind or a conduit outside.
And that's another good design element that you just brought up, because we're in the very beginning stages. We can place piping in the ground now that they can actually do our slab, and we'll have access in and out of that closet.
And I would throw this in. I don't care how much you think you need, add more.
Yeah, run an extra conduit. Even if it's a 2-inch conduit, run an extra 2-inch conduit. Brent, how many times
Ask
have we
us.
had to use the extra one?
Ask us.
So now, and actually this is just a question for my own clarification on this. Would you be running the conduit out the south side of the house, or would you actually be going out to the west?
I don't know. I don't know what's planned for, like, where the air conditioners and all of that is going to be at yet. Actually, I think it's going to be it'll be on the south side of the house.
south
So
side.
it will most likely come out to the south.
Out to the
I
south.
would take the south as my exit point.
It's a more direct path. It's
First off, it's a more direct path. Secondly, it also keeps it off of the west side. In this case, is facing the water.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. So you get less of an intrusion point for moisture and salt and stuff, but also that south side of the wall will probably be where all of your air handlers and everything else actually
Pool
in fact,
equipment.
It does say that right
Yeah.
there.
It's also going to be the driest part of the house.
Well, and what that's going to allow us to do is there's already going to be so much
to hide it within everything else.
Exactly. There's other things happening on that side of the house, and so you're not taking away from the aesthetic.
And why is the south side of the house drier, Adam?
Because the sun is on the south
Exactly.
side. There you go. Okay.
It does matter.
So one thing that we brought up also, and Brent, this was one of your ideas for the rack closet itself. You actually, by design, we have the closet in place, and you're going to have the rack on rollers or on wheels so that you can actually take it out of that closet.
correct.
So Brent actually, and by his experience, I know I make fun of you for your age and for whatever else, but I will say that your experience in certain things do play out very well.
It's mistakes.
Yes.
Experience is simply mistakes that hopefully
Yeah.
you learn from.
Yeah. And this was one that you caught pretty quickly. And so on the back side of this wall here, you were actually talking about what should be
A
done
bifold
there.
door.
Put a bifold door of some kind.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
the fold out ones, and
Yep.
because it's not always convenient to roll the rack out.
Yes.
If something's going on, the people are in the house, you don't want the thing laying out in the middle of the stairwell, which is what that is.
Correct.
Yeah.
And the vast majority of the time, unless you're loading a heavy piece of gear, you open up the bifold door, you do what you got to do, you close it, and you leave.
And you've got
Right.
access to the entire system.
And the nice thing about where the closet is in this case, that door would pretty much disappear behind another
Yes,
door.
Correct.
So first off, it's the master bathroom entry door.
Yep.
Secondly, a bifold door in that location is not out of place.
Correct. Yeah, because directly across from there, you have another door for the linen closet in that case.
Yep.
And there's a door in front of the rack.
Correct.
Which gives you the noise protection going into the bathroom.
Yep.
And my guess is you're probably going to go with the glass door so it looks really sexy with the lights and stuff.
Yep.
Nice. Now, one question I had, of course, is that you are making sure that you're going to put in some kind of air conditioning return.
Correct.
In that space,
we
right?
do a return in any of especially the smaller closets where you need it.
Right.
There will be an air conditioning return in there.
Very cool. Okay. So, and then now,
Adam, why don't we put a feed from the
I
air
was just about to
conditioner in
ask that
room?
question. So, this is actually something that we've run into a few times.
If you have the bifold door, honestly, you don't have to do the feed, so you don't have to worry about pressure equalization.
So, the main thing that we've learned from it is that no matter how much filtration that you have in your HVAC system, there's still going to be some kind of dust buildup in your exit or your feed for your HVAC system. And so feeding that directly into the rack closet, one, adds dust, but second, even though we're in Florida, we still turn on the heat in the wintertime. So what happens when you're adding heat into the rack closet?
Closed-in environment?
Where you have a bunch of electronics that are already generating their own heat? You're just going to run into so many problems with it.
Exactly. And so we'll use a combination of a air return as well as the rack will have, proper
Thermal
fans and thermal filtration, things like that as well.
Put the louver door on there, fresh air gets pulled into the louvers and then up to the extraction. So you've got a convection from cold up.
Right.
Heat rises.
Yep. Allow that to run through that entire pathway there. So of course, from here, we go into the master bathroom. Like we talked about before, you're going to have it looks like there's a freestanding tub. You have a walk-in shower that looks like it's all part of one big area there. And then, of course, you have the separate water closet where the commode will be. What I like in this case is that you actually have a speaker in the water closet, right? I mean, let's be honest.
I contemplated putting a TV on that wall.
Honestly,
yeah. You know what? I'm here to tell you.
Yeah.
At least plumb for it now, because I do use the TV in my bathroom.
Now, and not to, I don't want to overextend and go too far into the weirdness of this one, but what he's talking about is putting the TV in the water closet.
Yes.
And so versus instead putting it in the space where you can see it from the tub.
I do not have a segregated area for the toilet.
Sure.
It's just all.
Now the other design.
There used to be one, but my ex-wife took the Sawzall and cut that whole wall out and said, "What do you think?" And there was just electrical dangling from the ceiling, and I'm looking up into the attic.
The other area that we didn't call out for design that will most likely be added is a mirror TV in that bathroom.
A mirror TV. So you'll probably wind up putting. Do you happen to know branding that you use for any of those?
Not yet.
Now, here's where I differ from what I'm seeing. As large as that environment is, and I'm going to refer back to the beach house.
Yes.
2 speakers is better than 1 in a large environment. You do the built-in visible. First off, you don't have to worry about. I know you're going with the aluminum grilled speakers.
Yep.
But you do the built-in, whatever brand it is you carry, they disappear, and you get a better fill in there. A single speaker, even if it's a dual voice coil or summed, just does not fill as well in a large environment. The toilet's fine, although, honestly, my favorite toilet speakers are the little tiny Phase Tech 4-inch that fit in a dual game box. Like at 31.
Yeah.
I put them in the bathrooms at 31.
Yep.
It works great in there. I put them on either side of the wall behind the toilet.
Okay, and they're like firing forward from the toilet.
It does a great job on the toilet.
Yeah.
And you've got 2-channel audio. It's at a reasonable volume level. Honestly, I don't even I put a fixed volume on those because nobody,
Yeah. Now, one question that I had in the bathroom for myself is that you've got the you have the speaker here, of course.
Correct.
Now, with this wall here being for the shower itself, in my bathroom, my shower wall, it's the glass wall, it doesn't go all the way up to the ceiling. And so that would work fine in my area because I could still,
it's not a floor to ceiling wall, so it's
Gotcha.
being open at the top. There's still sound that can travel.
So you'll be able to hear it over top of that.
And those speakers, just so everybody knows, these are really rough placements. Obviously, the thing that we're not taking into account here is lighting, which that's a whole nother episode.
Which takes precedence over the speaker location.
Yeah.
Correct. And so we have a lot of can lights that have to go into that ceiling as well. So we will be working around what's there just because it's on that print in that exact spot.
Since you mentioned the multitude of can lights, we're kind of back to why I like the built-ins.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not another round thing stuck in the ceiling.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, and you're specifically talking about the no-C speakers where you just
whether
plaster
it's
over
Amina
top of them or
or
whatever.
Stealth or
True Audio.
Yeah,
True Audio.
Yep.
Yeah.
Everybody's got them, and do they sound quite as good? There's a little bit of a trade-off, but this is not a listening room. The purpose of this is background enjoyment.
Correct. For AV and even for television audio, it's perfectly fine. You're able to hear everything that's coming through it.
You know what? I would disagree with you, but based on what we're seeing at the Beach House, I can't. It's
working
They're
great.
thrilled.
Yeah. And actually, I do want to talk about...
It also know your client, at a certain level. Not every client wants to have a hi-fi system like you or I might want. So, not everybody's
He doesn't have hi-fi.
As crucial of a listener, you could say.
Well, and you didn't start. Your dad taught you.
So,
yeah. Now, what I do want to talk about with True Audio specifically, and fair warning, of course, everybody, we are working with True Audio. We actually are working with them.
We've done stuff in the past.
Yeah, we have. We did the rack competition
and we did the 70 volt episode.
We did, yeah. We had Jimmy and Dave Chase. That's right.
You can never remember the second guy.
I can't. And I apologize so much. If you're watching this, I apologize. Jimmy, I've dealt with on many occasions, but unfortunately,
all
Chase,
I know is they were both taller than Austin.
Yeah. So now, one thing I do want to talk about with True Audio, the plan is to use their pre-install ring system that they have. Yep. And this one is actually really cool. And I know here, let me switch over to camera 1 so it's a little bit easier to see. So with their ring system, it's actually pretty cool because the ring is, you put this in during the pre-wire, right? This goes in during the pre-wire where you put the mud rings in and everything else.
Yep.
And then from there, what you do is once this is put in place and you run the wires, you can actually, where you see this orange piece here, you actually have two terminals here. You have a red and a green, or red and a black, but you terminate the speaker wire here.
Yeah, so it saves you a step. You're terminating in the pre-wire phase, not the trim out phase. Mm-hmm. So it saves you some time. It's a little bit easier when there's no walls.
Well, it also stops your brand new semi-temporary employee that doesn't really know what he's doing from reversing the polarity on one of the drivers.
Yeah, and it just make sure you put the red with the red and the black with the black, and you're good to go there. But I know.
Really?
Yeah, I know. But the cool thing from there is that when you actually put the speaker in, well, one, you have this cardboard insert that I'm assuming stays in place until you put the speakers in. Yeah,
correct.
And so that allows the drywallers to come in, allows the painters to come in, and you don't get anything to come through into the attic space or into the...
Or in the attic space isn't coming through into the floor.
Correct. Yep. From there, then you actually have this jumper that goes from that your termination point, and that actually plugs directly into the speaker then.
Yep. And it makes for a really quick toolless install speaker.
Yeah.
Now at the the trim out phase, we really just blaze through it. The speaker just pops up, you plug the quick connect in and you're done. The other nice thing is you don't necessarily have to know what speaker the customer's going with, because that ring works with, I think it's their 7, 8, and 9-inch speakers.
Well, because the mechanism that they use to actually mount it in place is actually one size.
Yeah, so
the speaker itself is different.
It's a universal ring, so you have lots of flexibility as far as once the customer's in, they can decide what speaker they want.
So what the budget's going to allow.
Yeah, no, this is a fantastic tool for guys that are out there doing installations with True Audio. I honestly, when I saw this, it was, and I know that there are other manufacturers out there that do something similar to this, and I know that True Audio may not be the first one to do it, but the thing is that that's the first of the pre-termination points that I've seen in this setup like this, and the fact that
with the quick connect,
connect. Now, what I also liked is the fact that this is an actual plug that plugs in, and it's not a contact that when you put the speaker in, it makes contact
Right.
with it. Because the problem with that is that over time, you may get a corrosion buildup there, or if you have somebody who's doing drywall or they're doing the paint, there may be some that escapes past this,
Now,
which can then
I have not seen
grab
it,
that.
but I'm going to assume that plug cannot be inserted backwards.
Correct. Yeah, it's
It
actually
cannot
pulled-
be.
Yep. It's
Like a Phoenix
it's
plug
shaped-
with the shape.
Yeah, exactly. It's shaped to where it doesn't allow it to come through. So this is actually a really cool thing. And Jimmy at True Audio, I'll expect my check after talking about this live on air.
No. What he means is he's not sending you a check. Expect to send him a check. He's a greedy little fella.
Anyways, so a really cool setup with that. Now let's keep going through the design that we have here. And so in fact, I'm going to hit this button. Whoops, not that one.
Flip back.
There we go. Got it. Cool. Okay. So we're here in the master suite still. We have the walk-in closet. Now, one thing that I find kind of interesting is that the walk-in closet also goes into the utility room, and
Which it needs a speaker.
and I would put a speaker in there as well, just for when you're doing laundry or when anything else.
That is a dual voice coil, dual tweeter speaker in my book right there.
And what I like about this is that it also, because it goes into the utility room, what this creates is a pathway to go in from the garage into the master suite. So if you have the one that comes to mind immediately, and I don't know why that's the thing that comes to mind, but when I have Christmas presents for my kids, I need a pathway to get inside the house so the kids don't see it without having to tell the kids to go hide somewhere in order for that to happen. And I know that's a silly reason to do it, but honestly, I'm myself, my wife and I are working on designing a house and maybe even buying one or building one, but something like that is kind of interesting. I would look for something like that for myself.
That's a great idea. I don't have to worry about that.
No, you don't. No.
My dogs really don't care as long as I feed them.
Well, and one's blind anyways, so it's pretty
And
easy
deaf.
to sneak around on that one. So you're good to go. Now the walk-in closet. Now, so it's not a his and hers walk-in closet setup. So you have one large space, and that's why.
No, it's
so we have
hers.
two.
He just gets a corner.
I was going to say, yeah, he has his
That
his
little tiny
corner over there.
That's
yeah,
the one.
exactly. Yeah,
That's it.
So with the two speakers in here, this actually works out pretty well because with the space there, the size of the space. And speaking of, do we have dimensions for where we are on this one?
Yep, there's a dimension right on it.
Am I missing something somewhere?
Scrolling some more. It's right underneath where it says
Yep,
WRC.
there it is. I see it. 15 by 8 and 8.
And by the way, I'm the blind one.
It's blue, and for some reason, maybe I'm colorblind a
Yeah,
little
it
bit.
kind of disappears.
So it's 15 long in this direction, of course, and then we've got
8 feet 8 inches wide.
8 feet 8 inches this way.
That's not a bad small theater dimension setup either.
It's not terrible. And now
I'm just saying.
I do see tray ceilings. I'm assuming is what those are, or is
No,
that
That's going to be a
shelving
shelving.
for the
For
shelving?
the,
Okay,
That's custom cabinets with.
some built-in cabinetry and stuff.
built-ins for the
Yeah.
clothing. Yeah.
Now, but the two speakers in there, I think that's important. Now, Brent,
Now, Adam.
two dual voice coils or a
No,
left
just,
right?
just left right.
Yeah, for that
Because the environment.
that size.
Remember, the nice thing about stereo speakers is the blend.
Yes.
So if you have the dual voice coils are good in a backyard situation like this, but in the closet, I would go with just a standard pair because you're going to get the fill because it's a closed-in area.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have an open area like the back porch, that the dual voice coils come into play more.
Yeah. Now, I like this. The experts chimed in. They're saying that his wife says that she doesn't want to spend that much time doing laundry, so a speaker in that space is a waste of time. And kudos to that. I mean, that's great.
I'm here to tell you that my laundry room has audio.
Yeah. Well, and again, but that's it's
And
going
I
to come
love
down
it.
to personal preference at that point.
My guest bathroom has audio.
Yeah. Now, what I would say at this point is, what do they say? Copper's cheap. So go ahead and make
Copper's
the
not cheap, but
in
labor's,
today's world,
labor's less cheap.
Yeah, during this time, if we're going to do it, now's the time to do it.
Yep.
I agree. I would at least put one there in the utility room, at least a run.
At least
for it.
pre-wire it.
Yeah. So, but this is a great setup so far. I'm really liking this. Now you also have.
While you guys are covering this, I'm going to take a.
Yeah.
I'll be right back.
So this actually works out to be a much larger. I actually missed this room initially. You actually have an additional suite down here. What is this? What's the idea for this suite here? Is this
Guest suite.
Guest suite. Yeah. Okay. Now you were talking before in the master suite. You actually have additional for the sound bar.
Correct.
Is that going to be the same
that'll be basically, it'll be a 2-channel sound bar with a sub.
Two-channel,
Not quite going to the surround sound like we are in the rest of the like in the master, but it would still be a custom like sound bar with a sub in the room.
Got it. Okay.
In-wall sub, most likely.
Very nice. And so doing the in-wall sub in that. Now, again, that's going to be a passive sound bar with a passive subwoofer, of course, going back to the actual rack.
Still going back to the rack closet, exactly.
Got it. So you're actually running all the way back over to there. I'm having too much fun drawing on this thing. This is great. I'm having too much fun. Okay, so from there, of course, we go into what is this now? Okay, we have another bathroom. So we have the mud room, and then we have another bathroom in place as well. Now this is a full bathroom in this case.
It is,
and you do have another speaker in that location.
Yep, dual voice coil speaker.
Got it. And so this actually works out as a really nice guest suite. To where everything's kind of in one location. You're not really, in the midst of everything else, so everyone can still, enjoy their time and whatnot on this area. But if someone wants to go, go to bed a little early or something, they're able to go over and go to sleep at that point. So really nice layout. This is the house itself, the architect and the designer that went into this. Kudos to them. They did a pretty good job with this. Pretty good. They did a great job with this. Okay, so from there we go into the garage. Now the garage. We have a 3-car garage. Is that the overall design for this one?
Yeah, call it an oversized 3-car garage.
Oversized 3-car. Again, you're putting the speaker or the TV in there with the sound bar, which kind of makes that more of a.
Yeah. Now in this case, that sound bar would most likely be an active sound bar. It's obviously not a crucial listening area.
Sure.
So we're going to use that to just give us extra sound more than we would with the TV. And then the speakers would mainly be used for our background audio in that space.
Very nice. Leo is asking, are you pulling extra cable for future items, shades, TVs, cameras, etc.? And I'm assuming yes. And pretty much every location you're gonna be running.
Yeah, in an area, this episode's only so long, so we can only call out so much. But we have lighting, that is a whole another topic. Shades kind of falls into that lighting category as well.
Yeah. And it's funny because I've been an AV guy my entire life. Shades is my number one favorite thing.
Shades
to what
are
we
fantastic.
Do because the movement, that whole James Bond stuff going up and down, people love lighting and shades.
Well, in this
more
case,
than audio.
In this case, too, some not just traditional shades like what we think of, but automated drapes as well.
Yeah. And honestly, the setup for it, the drapes and the shades and everything else in play, to what you're talking about, Brent. When you have, and for me, it's the total automation of it. When you have, and I've always, and hopefully you would be able to design into this like some actual automation into this for when you're demoing it. But the whole idea of, we talked about that on a couple episodes ago about how much automation is too much automation, and how do you actually make that and create
less
that.
is more. I mean, the more stuff you can do with less interface, the better off you are. And Josh, turn on room.
Yeah, exactly.
It's 8 a.m.
Yeah, doing motion sensors, doing a single voice command, doing something like that is fantastic. And having the television, having the music, and or having the shades, having the curtains and the doors and whatever else. And are these motorized doors, or are they hand controlled doors for the back area?
They'll be hand.
Okay, because that would be really cool if you could automate the opening of the doors.
There are companies that do that, but I would be afraid of doing that on saltwater.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Maybe in Denver, you're on the slopes and you've got the $50 million home in Vail or something, but on the beach.
Yeah.
All right, so there's a couple other areas we need to highlight.
Yes, please.
Before we jump upstairs, let's look at the back patio.
Yep.
So we've got speakers all across the back there. Now, Brent, you and I might have argued about this a little bit here. This goes back to, should these be dual voice coils? Should these be left and right? Should these be summed as mono?
Well, I'm not a summed as mono guy right out of the gate. Okay. I'm not a fan of it because the audio becomes very directional to that placement. Now, I have done both dual voice coils and stereo arrangements in situations like that. My backyard, for example, is left, right, left, right. Mm-hmm. So regardless of where you go, you've got that stereo image. Mm-hmm. And honestly, since you're not in a seating position, left and right is less critical than the blend of two speakers.
Yes.
What makes this one a little weird is the fact you've got that smaller step out.
Mm-hmm.
That's where it gets a tad bit trickier. For example, let's start from the far left and go to the right.
Okay.
If you start with left there, then right, and then left, right, which is what that is, do you treat that as two separate zones?
They would be.
Okay.
Yep.
Which I would, because that smaller area, it's going to overpower the other one unless you've got individual gains.
Now, here's my question. You're talking about two separate zones. Are we just talking two separate gain levels?
Effectively,
or are we
two
talking
separate
about
volume zones.
and to where you could play two separate?
It could be either way. To the Control 4, it's going to be two separate zones. But that being said, if they want to control them as one, they can do that.
There's no way you're going to be able to do two different sources because they'll just walk all over again.
And that's what I was
Exactly.
There's
thinking.
also the backyard.
Yeah, it's always
Correct.
going to be the same
So
source.
effectively, that patio and whatever's in the backyard is a zone,
Right.
but with independent volume controls.
Correct. Now, of course, because of the automation that's being put in place here, that's going to be doable. You'll be able to have, separate volumes, but still be able to play the same thing in
Right, so
each of those areas.
now, and you were still discussing it with yourself the other day when we talked about this. Where do you think you're going? Stereo speakers or dual voice coil?
Initially, I would do stereo, left, right.
Which I agree with.
Yeah.
So the only thing that's a little weird is just that tiny thing off to itself.
Correct.
And my guess is if you tied the volume levels together initially and put the gain down slightly in that smaller zone, you should, it should balance out okay.
Now, again, in that zone, also remember you also have these doors that could be opened up entirely, basically bringing in the grand room, the
True,
the
But you've
lanai,
also
and everything
got
else
the
all in
glass
one
windows
space.
on that other zone for more reflectivity.
Correct.
Also, don't forget that you have motorized shades that we haven't discussed.
Exactly.
So the entire back can either be opened or closed.
I think honestly, we may need to do another episode.
Well, it needs to be
very
on lighting
soon.
and drapes.
Yeah, lighting and drapes on just on that, because there is a lot that we are not
lot to talk
covering.
about.
Well, we haven't even got to the yard yet, and we won't have time.
Yeah,
today
we
to
are
get to the
already
yard.
at almost an hour on this one. So
the last thing we would focus on out there is a bit of a like a wet bar area / grill area.
is that over here by where the motorized TV is?
Exactly. So there's not a great spot because there is a window on that wall as well.
Oh, interesting. Now, are you
Why
saying
is there a window on that wall?
Are you saying this little window here?
Yep.
Interesting.
Is that a high window or is that at normal?
I'd have to look at the elevation. I don't remember. But
Let me rephrase the
is-
question. Why is there a window there?
Well, there's also a
So you can
sink right
see.
there,
I understand that, but
So you can see out.
mostly just for looks and for design.
Look at your neighbors.
okay.
Yeah.
So there's not a great spot for the TV. So that's an area that
So the TV is going to be hanging down from a post, or
it is not. It's going to be a motorized flip down.
okay on the
Yeah.
back.
Correct.
Now you do also have these windows here, which does bring us back to that room, and I don't want to again. I'm going to leave that for the very last part of this. For that, yeah, exactly. Actually, the experts are saying they're commenting on the speaker layout for the lanai in that small area. You may want one of those zones without the other one, which makes perfect sense because
Right.
you may want a quiet area for something else, but you still want
Which is
for-
why it's two zones.
Exactly. Now, with the TV here, and the layout, and I understand that, again, you're probably going to wind up having a table and chairs and sitting areas and whatever else. With this TV and the orientation that it's in, you're putting the speakers
In line.
in line to the
Right.
TV directly, so you're actually going straight down this run directly to the TV instead of having a speaker here and a speaker here to be used left and right for the TV itself.
Which
Correct.
you bring out a very strong point. So the question is, do you now put 4 speakers in east-west instead of in a north-south axis?
Or do you just put an active soundbar for when the TV's motorized down?
No, you don't. Because at that point, that sound will no longer be the same quality as the other one. So what I would look at doing is instead of having the 4 speakers in line, I would do an east-west, east-west arrangement.
So do northeast, northwest, southeast, southwest.
Right.
speaker orientation. So you're actually going
So
like this
yes,
instead.
exactly.
Well, it'd be
Now
spaced
you're also
differently.
probably going to have ceiling fans back there, which pretty much eliminates anything down the middle again.
Yeah, that's going to happen. Well, and again, going back to all of this, we haven't done lighting yet,
Right.
and that's something that could have a major
So, I mean,
effect to
is
this
just
as
a
well.
preliminary. We think we want 4 speakers here. We think we want 2 here.
Sure. And for the most part, again, this is where you're just telling the clients, hey, we want 4 speakers out here to cover the space that you have in that area.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now, Brent, going into the orientation of speakers that you're talking about, and again, I know we're running out of time. We have one other space to talk about. But going in the orientation that you were talking about before, where you've got the 4 speakers in this orientation here, would you do left, right?
I would, and I tell you why.
And do you know where I'm going with this, or would you change this one over here?
No.
To do.
Okay, now it's interesting you
like
say
that.
that because GM did that for years in their car audio.
Okay.
So that the idea is you got the full panorama of stereo regardless.
Yes.
The reason I would not do that in this application is plain and simply that television.
Okay. Because you may be back there looking at the
Right.
television, and so you may be
And
in the wrong orientation.
the deck is 36 by 72. So you might actually wind up with 3 or 4 sets of speakers versus 2.
Yeah. That's the casement, but yes.
Okay.
Yeah. No. You're looking at 12 feet by 32 feet.
So then 4 speakers will fill that area up evenly.
Yeah.
And you're never going to be outside of the stereo field.
Yeah. Was there anything else on the lanai that we should look at the moment?
Nope. So
Well-
However, the little lanai I would leave in line
Leave that one in line. Yeah.
because you're not looking at the TV there.
Now, before we go upstairs, I want to go back to these 2 suites here.
Correct.
So anybody in the chat, I don't see any comments about those in the chat just yet. So I'm just going to go ahead and spit out what you are doing in order to make this room work for what's there. So as far as I understand, let me zoom in here a little bit. As far as I understand, the only wall that you really have for a bed is this one here. And so with the bed on that north wall, because again, you don't really have space for it against this wall over here. You've got windows on this wall, so you can't put anything on there. So the bed has to go there.
Correct.
But then if that's going to happen, where do you put the television? So would you do like a high articulating, wall mount in a space like that and possibly walk into it?
yeah, the problem with that is, articulating mounts seem great, but unless they're motorized, you're either going to leave it out all the time or you're never going to pull it out.
Correct.
So you're never really going to have an optimized viewing angle unless it is a motorized mount. And then even if that is motorized, you're going to be fairly limited on the size of the television you can put
It's
in that
always going to be
space.
in the way.
Yeah. Come into your mic just a little bit.
Sorry about that.
So this is the area where we would look at doing a motorized mount of some kind,
Right.
whether that be a under the bed, motorized out, or maybe an in-ceiling drop down.
And, come back to, because this house keeps coming up all the time, the beach house
Yes.
has this exact same problem.
Yep.
And the wall that we were told the TV was going to go on,
It did not go
it
on.
wound up on the wall with the windows.
Yeah.
Now, fortunately,
Yep.
we put between the 2 pillows, we put a high and low
Yes.
TV location,
Yep.
and to the left of the windows,
Yes.
we also put a TV location.
Yes.
And so for us, this would be an area when we're doing our pre-wire, we're going to pre-wire HDMI in one of those spaces, but we're going to put CAT everywhere.
Yeah. So you'll
Because
always
we're
have
going
a
to
backup.
intend on using, we intend on using the fiber HDMI. We're going to intend on putting it at that foot of the bed location. But we do understand that, the next owner might be there.
And it may
or
not be a
something,
bedroom.
Or something changes. Yeah, it's not a bedroom at that point. So having that extra CAT in the walls is just a really good idea.
So the experts commented, they're saying putting something at the end of the bed or like a cabinet of some
Right.
kind,
Sure.
and having it lift out of the bottom of
That's
that
what
cabinet.
he was.
And
Yeah.
and we've done that. Actually, that's in a couple spaces over at the other house.
Yes, it is.
So again, this room creates challenges that even though this is a demo home or a demo house, it's still, you still have to work around things that are creating problems for us.
And it being a demo house, it also is good to show that these problems exist, because this is a real world example of something that we would encounter in the field. So showing somebody that, hey, there's a way to get around this.
And the reality is, other than the master suite,
nobody
and the great room, you have no clue what's going to happen in those rooms long term.
Exactly. Yeah. Now,
I mean, the physical layout of the master suite is more controllable. Rooms like this, it could be a den, it could be a desk, it could be a library, it could be a gym.
Yep.
You don't know.
Yeah. Now, we did kind of glaze over the grand room a little bit. In the grand room, it looks like we've got a 7.1 surround sound system in there. Is that correct?
Yeah, and that's another area that, it could be Atmos. These ceilings are going to be, I believe they were 12. You'd have to zoom in to see what the ceiling was.
Let's see. You have 13 foot 6 inches step tray ceiling.
So not an ideal situation for Atmos.
I was going to say it's a little far for the Atmos designs, but you could.
Not impossible, but
have you guys seen Lovesac yet?
No. The big giant couch that you can reconfigure and whatnot. Yeah, no, that works, and that would work in those in a space. Are you talking about the one that actually has the speakers built into it? Okay, I have seen it. But
I legitimately have no idea the cost. I am sure it's pricey.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know how good the speakers are.
It sounded pretty good.
Oh, you actually experienced it?
There's one in Orlando.
Okay,
There's a store in Orlando at the Millennium Mall.
Interesting.
Take your wife, feed her a PF Change dinner one night. Take her on a date.
Sure.
And go Lovesac it.
There you go. So with this space here, so you're saying it could become an Atmos space because, of course, we have the room for it, but it may not be utilized.
It's not an ideal, so most likely we would just do a surround sound, or we would do Atmos and then just, hey, this isn't our main knockout area as far as great audio.
Now,
do you notice that he did put 2 speakers over the island, which I really appreciate?
Yes, he did. Now with Atmos, and we've talked about this before on other episodes, where with Atmos, even if you're not utilizing a traditional Atmos layout where you have ear level listening speakers, you having Atmos in play still does create a better 3D environmental sound. So even if you do lay it out in a certain way where you have those speakers in the ceiling, it could still work out to help out with that.
And then the other thing there, the front stage. So those will most likely end up actually being a true bookshelf speaker, or not an architectural speaker.
Sure.
So there will be some sort of built in there. Once we get elevations as to what that looks like, then we can select the picture, work with the cabinet guy on designing.
Is there speakers in the dining room?
How to fit that into place.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, speakers in the dining room, left, right. I'm assuming in the dining room, just again to get the nice separation and nice blend.
Now again, because Adam and I have a job very similar to this, literally almost identical.
It's
to this layout.
very close.
We've got soundbar on the TV.
Not anymore.
That's right, because now it's straight out of the ceiling.
Correct.
So we've got 2 pair of the ceiling speakers, so that they don't have to crank it up at any chair.
Yep.
A pair of the kitchen island, just like that.
Yep.
And a pair in the dining room, just like that.
Yep.
And it blends incredibly well.
Yeah. Now, utilizing the surround sound in that space, I think, is still a good thing to do because
I would want it.
Well, and what the surround sound does is it doesn't the voices, because of course the way that things are mixed, the voices will come out of that center channel. You'll have better listening capabilities. You don't have to turn up the volume of anything like that. So I think that works out really well. But last in this space, we go up these stairs here in this area, and we are greeted by this space here. So this is the second floor. Kind of fill me in here on what's going on.
So I think flex space, kind of an office / conference room vibe. So I put the people around as if they were sitting around a table to kind of get an idea as to what is going on there. But this is kind of our flex space. So this is a cool area, and Brent already has told me that we should add more speakers.
It needs to be Atmos, because you're not dealing with the height restrictions or issues from the main room. You're in a room that could effectively be a dedicated media room.
Yeah.
So for us, the conversation is, do we do our full invisible surround sound system here, or do we do it in the living room?
I picked the living room.
I'm with Brent. I would do the invisibles in the living room. One, because I think that being a demo location, I think that's going to create a really nice aspect when they walk in and you're showing the space. You're going to have music coming from seemingly nowhere. and then they're going
Which
to
is
walk in and see
exciting.
that. Oh, it is, and honestly, it is. When
I mean,
when we
tell me when you don't go over there.
I know.
First thing I do when I walk in the house, if I'm the only one there,
Yep. Play some music and
play this, and you know
it comes on.
You programmed it for me, so it all comes on
Yeah.
at a nice volume level.
Yep.
And damn it, I'm happy.
Yeah, it works great, and honestly, the speakers themselves. Again, going back to the fact that those speakers sound decently well. I mean, for what they
They're
are,
not high end, but
No.
they're not meant to be.
they're not meant to be 2 channels. Sit it down in a chair and listen to it RCA
Nope.
style. It's really just meant to be background music and or TV audio.
So we really do want to incorporate invisibles into
Mm-hmm.
this project somewhere.
And to me, that's the great room more than any other room, because the great room visually is that.
Yeah.
The great room.
And so we'll do a probably an Atmos, 5.2.4.
That's a
in that
good
space.
room to do it. That's also a good room to look at an ultra short throw.
Yeah, I mean, now that you've been back from the ultra short throw shootout,
And I would
that could
invert the
work out in
room.
that space.
I would invert the room.
Put the TV
screen
on the far side.
south side. Mm-hmm. So that you don't come into the screen, you come in looking at the screen.
Yeah.
That would create
there's
a
no
little bit
windows.
of a wow factor effect.
And plus,
to it.
you've got a larger front stage.
And short throw would allow you to still keep the round table in that space, so it could still be a meeting area.
Well,
for
or you could go with
else.
the 77 or 98 inch
Sure.
OLEDs, but that's not a room. If you're going to use it as a conference room or a flex room, a traditional front projection, hanging from a pole, really is not a good solution for this
No.
room.
It'd be a flat panel or a short throw for sure.
And if you put the display on the south wall versus the north stair wall, A, it's bigger. B, the room actually lays out better, and it fits in Atmos configuration
And
better.
that room is call it 20 by 16, so it's a good space. You can definitely do
Yeah,
a
that's a great medium room.
110 inch,
And
120 inch screen.
it's only 9 feet high in the tray ceilings portion.
So it's perfect.
Yeah, I think that would work out really well.
Yep.
I'm honestly with Brent on this one, which doesn't happen very often.
So I guess that brings up another point. If you looking at this, if anybody has any suggestions
Yes.
or things that they would do differently or
Yeah, I
change,
mean, and
we're very
As
early.
if it's just the three of us sitting here,
We're
Yeah.
very early in the
throwing in
process. So.
Noonan Senior.
Just honestly, this is one of the things that the position that you're in right now, you are still in the design phase. You're at a perfect point to make changes to this. And, I think honestly, I feel like what we've discussed even before today's episode, but leading up to it, portions of that will probably wind up making their way into the design.
Zoom back out. Where's the stairwell speaker?
There are no stairwell speakers.
There are no stairwell speakers.
There should be. Don't laugh about this one. My front hallway has music right over the front door when you walk in, so that it's just you don't have dead areas.
Sure. So you can add a speaker
So another
there,
area to think about.
right?
Yes.
Honestly, the only areas that I would add are those two areas
and
there.
let's think about this. Beach house.
Yep.
I have speakers on every landing.
Yep.
And above the half landings and the primary landings all have the primary landings are stereo. The
Yeah.
half landings are a summed,
Yep.
which you programmed for.
Yep.
So as you're going up that spiral staircase, 3 floors,
You get audio the
You have
whole way
audio
through.
the whole way.
audio the whole way.
Yep.
So I think we're coming up just past an hour now, so I think we're gonna have to wrap this up here pretty quick. But as far as the layout and the design and everything of this, overall, it's a great design. I'm really excited about it because we get to come along for the ride and throughout the entirety of it. That was what I was trying to get at
I want to
before.
watch you pull wire.
I haven't
Okay.
pulled. It's been a little while since I pulled wire.
We could get you in there.
We could put a GoPro on my hat, and I can crawl through the attic, and we can show stuff off there. Maybe, possibly, probably not.
I will out attic you.
Oh, is it a competition now? Is that what we're trying for?
I will out attic you.
I'll hold the camera.
You'll hold the camera. There you go. Yeah, we'll run across. We'll have to run the speaker wires for the great room or the grand room. Whoever can wire up those locations
Can
quicker.
we do a rafter race?
I'm too big and you're too old. I think we're gonna. I don't think our insurance company would cover that at Metro.
I am rejecting your reality of my age.
Yeah. So no, honestly, and this is something that I'm really excited about, everybody. This is what we are looking forward to the most. We will be here throughout the entirety of this project. We're really excited about it. And again, Austin with Infinity Home Tech, thank you so much.
Formerly with Metro AV.
Formerly, yeah. Thank you so much for allowing us to come along for the ride. I mean, this is something that we really wanted to do, and we wanted some way to do it, and luckily you were available for that. So
yeah, it's going to be a super cool project, and I think we'll have a handful of these sit down type.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting out in the field
the
again.
round table, and then once the fun starts, get out in the field and actually see if we can get your hands dirty and pulling some wire.
Right? Who knows? Maybe we'll even get out there during the programming phases and see about what you're going to be doing interesting in those areas.
Since both of you guys are C4 and I'm just an old school Crestron guy, I'll just stand there and go, ooh, ah.
You sure you won't try to tell us how to do it?
Yeah, I was going to say, you're just going to be there saying, no, you guys should do it this way. What do you mean it can't do it that way?
Well, okay, that's what's going to happen. Well, wait, what do you mean? What? Oh, wait, never mind. They can't ship.
Yeah. Say it again.
I didn't say that.
Yeah. So, and honestly, this is something that I know I've said it like 3 times already, but I am honestly excited about this. I think this will be something that, and even for our viewers that are not in the industry per se, but
this is what happens.
But you wanted to see what happens, or if you're at the point where you are trying to reach out to an integrator to design for your new house, this episode series or this series of videos, I'm hoping that this will also be one, entertaining for you, but also informational for you and educational in some way. That these are the things that we think of as integrators when you bring your blueprints to us. Some of the first things that come to mind are, of course, TV locations, speaker locations, surveillance locations, but it goes way beyond that. And again, I think we do need to do another episode where we talk specifically about the lighting and the drapes and the blinds.
Yeah,
that's
a full
huge
episode
part.
right there.
I'm going to go back to your point. If somebody's watching and is contemplating doing this, the reality of it is a good integrator will bring you a design that's probably slightly above the cost of what you initially looked at. He should. Because here are the things, honestly, that you can do. And then it's just a matter of saying, okay, maybe I don't need the speaker in the laundry room.
Leo says that he'll bring his company down to run wire.
Come on, Leo.
I would love to see Leo, and
we can make a reunion.
Yeah, of course.
Reunion episode.
Now he does say, of course, that money has to be a decision, and it does, and that's something that all of this
always
comes into play.
Even inside a demo home for as a company, it's great to say manufacturers are going to work with us. They're going to give us a deal on the gear. They're going to help us. Ultimately, you still have to pay something. You still got to pay your own labor because you got to pay your bills.
Yep.
You have to build the house. And then on top of everything else, we all know what's happening with material costs.
Yep, exactly.
And delivery times. So.
But with that, I think that pretty well covers today's episode.
I am curious what everybody thinks of the format, the audio, the video, and how it worked outside of us.
You just have to sit closer to your microphone next time.
That did come up.
Am I really not that loud?
Well, no, you are that loud, but these microphones, their pickup is
very directional.
Is that space, and so if you're outside of it, they do away with the audio. But everybody, thank you again for checking us out today. If you have any other questions after the fact, make sure you leave them down in the comment section below. As always, if you are watching this on Facebook, please let us know. We want to know that we are actually reaching out to people on Facebook as well as YouTube. We are still working on potentially getting these episodes to go live on other platforms. So let us know if you want to see them there as well. We're looking at LinkedIn as one of our options.
I thought we were on Platform 9 in Chicago.
I don't.
It was a train joke.
Okay, there you go.
The Chicago Metro.
Oh, okay. Oh, yes. Yeah, that I got. Yeah. But everybody, thank you again for checking us out today. Come back this Friday where we are going to be talking about one of our products that could have an effect with a project
Bulk
like
wire,
this.
maybe?
Actually, in fact, we're going a little bit abstract this Friday, which I'm going to leave it for this Friday's episode.
So you're not.
I'm gonna
Okay.
put a hint out there, but I'm not gonna. It's gonna be fairly an abstract product of Metro AV that has a lot to do with a project like this. So,
I'm
but
intrigued. I don't know.
I have no clue.
yeah, they really have no idea, and I'm also not saying anything because I haven't gotten approval to to talk about it on Friday. So we'll see if it works out. So with that, everybody, again, as always, thank you for checking us out today. If you have any questions about what we've talked about today, or if you have your own ideas for how things should be done for this build or this design, let us know in the comments. You can, of course, always reach out to us at our direct lines. Mine is 386-202-6132.
And mine's 6137.
6137. You can email me at adam.rogers@metroav.com, or they can email you.
Brent.mccall@metroav.com.
Yep. If you're in the Central Florida area, you can of course reach out to Infinity Home Tech if for any of your AV
And
needs.
Adam will post all of his information.
Yeah,
course.
and the website is the best way to do it.
Yep.
So contact form on the website.
InfinityHomeTech.com.
Yep.
Yep. So they can reach out to InfinityHomeTech.com. There's a contact form in there, so you can do that as well. But with that, everybody, honestly, this has been a fantastic episode. And Austin, thank you for joining us today. Yeah, we are at an hour and 15 minutes, so we do need to go ahead and wrap this up. But everybody, thank you so much. We look forward to doing this again next time, and we will see you then.
Tell us about what you think of the format.
Yeah, let us know how it goes.
I'm
All right.
Brent.
I'm Adam.
Austin.
Reboot
We're out
early.
of here. Reboot early.
Reboot often.
Don't cut your wires too short.
Turn off CEC.
Don't make sure you have at least 20 meters or 66 feet on your HD-based T extenders.
Yeah, and call tech support.
Have a great day.
We'll see y'all later. Bye, everybody.